Welcome, everybody. Had a little bit of a recording issue, and so I lost some of the material I made. And now I'm kind of frustrated and really don't want to put a lot of time into redoing what I just ran through, so I'll keep this pretty brief. I'm going to put chapters in this video. It's one of my Rambling Rant videos, so that way you can go to where you want. So start with the nuclear war news, then talk about some training, some other stuff at the end. And what I'm going to do for the nuclear war news, I'm going to put a link in the description to each of the articles I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to go into too many details, quite frankly, because I already just did. And now I'm kind of, There's, to be honest with you, it's some sensationalism and not what I would consider anything groundbreaking. But to cover, so the Observer Research Foundation, there's an article they put out today, Why the West Fails to Understand the New Nuclear Age. I would suggest taking a look at it. I would also suggest a healthy amount of skepticism. One thing you're going to see a lot of articles recently is a comparison to the Cuban Missile Crisis, and a lot of people saying that this is the closest we've come since the Cuban Missile Crisis to potential nuclear conflict because of the Ukraine conflict. I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. I don't think that the conflict in Ukraine is bringing us necessarily close to a nuclear exchange. I think there's the possibility. I think it definitely exists. I've made videos on how it could escalate, but really we're in it's an attritional war that Russia's winning because they have more manpower and they have more industrial capacity. And so why they would escalate to nuclear isn't really there, unless something has drastically changed from the NATO countries as far as if we start deploying troops, actively engaging in air and naval operations, beyond just providing intel and signal intelligence and other stuff. Beyond that, I think the likelihood is quite low. Now, if there was a potential that Ukraine actually had pushed Russia out and was starting to enter into Russia or even advancing towards Moscow, you might see something in that realm you would have seen. But that's not a possibility. That's not going to happen, not under the current status quo, unless something drastically changed. So, but check that one out. Newsweek has one, nuclear disaster warning issued by analysts over Ukraine war. Again, kind of touching on some of the same topics. It's not exactly the same. It's not by the same people, but touches largely on the same topic. I will say that if you want to check out something that I say has a lot of legitimacy, look into some of the strengthening in ties between Russia and North Korea and how that's causing China to be a little concerned. Tricontinental, there's no such thing as a small nuclear war. This goes into some stuff, including a potential study that even if Pakistan and India had a nuclear exchange with their very limited arsenals and stockpiles, it could cause up to 2 billion people to starve. Again, some of that model is based on not global warming, but nuclear winter. And there's, let's just say, not a consensus on the science behind that. And some of the early models that first came out probably weren't nearly as accurate as far as how devastating it would be. And remember, at one time they said that if Iraq set the oil fields in Kuwait on fire, that it would have the same effect. And we found out, because they did, that it didn't. So, and also the idea that just because some limited low-yield tactical weapons are deployed, that it would automatically escalate to strategic levels again. It's not necessary. It's important to keep in mind that it very real and could, but it's also important to understand that it doesn't mean automatically, if some weapons are deployed, that it's going to go all out strategic and we're just going to start lobbing everything we have at each other. There's levels of escalation. Look at PSYOP 63, and even in the 60s where stockpiles were, in the early 60s, they weren't necessarily, but when you get into the 70s, especially into the 80s, stockpiles were much higher than they are now. But yes, there was the idea of massive retaliation. If the Soviet Union attacked, that we were just going to hit them with everything we had. That was replaced decades ago with flexible responses. So it's not always accurate to say that. That's why, again, I think it has to be important to be as forthcoming and accurate as possible to truly understand it. I'm not saying that it's a viable option to use limited nukes. I'm just saying that you can't automatically assume that it's going to lead to Armageddon. You have to prepare that if this happens, what is the realistic responses? How do you stop the escalation from there? Another one, New York Times, Putin vows to make new nuclear missiles and to weigh placing them near NATO nations. So again, another one that I consider, look, they're already trying to make them. And in some respects, they've said they've deployed them already, like the Sarmat. Again, we don't know how many they've actually deployed and are operational, or if that's even accurate. It's hard to say. And it wouldn't be a rant video if I'm not drinking a Stella, so. And then the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. I didn't know Carnegie was that endowed, so. Nuclear for nuclear, understanding divergent South Korean and American perceptions on deterring North Korea. There's a persistent question over how to communicate U.S. Republic of Korea alliance deterrence posture. Again, I would definitely recommend reading that one. I put that in a little bit different category than some of the other videos or some of the other articles. So there's going to be a link to each of those below. Now, of course, like I said, they talked a lot about the Cuban Missile Crisis, some of those articles. I did a video on what if the Cuban Missile Crisis went hot. And so I'm going to have a link to that one. I've also got a link to my most recent Ukraine escalation for 2024 based on newer parameters of where the war is at now. So I would suggest checking that one out too. There'll be a link there. Excuse me. And also one for Iran-Israel escalation. So that's another potential touch point, probably in a more limited fashion, but with recent reports that Iran has the capability to make 3 atomic weapons right now, or within a couple weeks, and up to 5 in a couple months. Now, it would take longer for delivery systems, but again, I have some videos on that as well, or a video on that as well. Put a link in the description, so I highly suggest checking it out. And if you haven't, please like, subscribe, click the bell to get a notification each time I come up with a video. I've currently got a giveaway going on for my subscribers. Leave me a comment on any video since I started the giveaway till July 4th, and you'll be entered into a drawing to win a free copy of the Nuclear War Simulator by Matrix Games on Steam. And if you've already got a copy, I'll give you a game of like value. So I think with the Steam Summer Sale, it's just under $20, so say $20. So game of your choice if you've already got it. My preference would be, though, if you don't have Nuclear War Simulator, to get that, because I'd like to get it out there to people. I think it's a great simulator, and it's your chance to get a free copy of it. So leave me a comment down below if you haven't already in one of the prior videos, and I'll enter you into the drawing. July 4th, I'll do a live drawing. Or sorry, July 5th, I'll do a live drawing on a stream so people can see. Anybody that's left a comment, they'll get entered into a spreadsheet, and I'll do a random number generator from random.org, and somebody will be the winner. So, let's see here. So, what else to talk about here? Training. So, that's my second favorite topic. As I said in one of my prior videos, I've been the champ for 4 years now. 4 years. So, undefeated. Constantly got to train to make sure I'm staying in tip-top in case I ever get challenged. So today, and I would say it's in a weight cut, but I'm really not starting the weight cut until, I say next week, but probably even July 4th, but next week. So I've increased my training frequency and introduced more cardiovascular type of stuff as well, especially on the rowing side of things. And I'm going to be really kicking it in, so going to be dropping the beer, going to be dropping some of the desserts. I've already kind of cleaned up a lot of my diet, although I still had probably a little too much pizza. But, it's, a lot of protein and, small, moderate, healthy fat, and the carbs are still fairly high, and then they'll start to ramp down a little bit. I never go like keto, but I try to keep my fats and my protein pretty consistent, and then change the carbs based on what I want to do. So, for example, every 2 weeks, start to drop them down. Fat's always, I'd say it's low to moderate on the fat side, but I try to get in, the healthier fat, especially like the olive oil. One of my favorite snacks, or even for a meal, is sardines and olive oil. And sardines themselves are a good source of omega-3s, and sometimes even salmon. We had a salmon bowl last night, and it was amazing. It's a pretty regular my wife makes. But trained chest and back today. It's a lot of supersets. So started with just regular bench press on straight sets, and then we started with superset incline dumbbells with the medium grip pull downs, and then we did the incline on the Smith machine, and supersetted that with close grip pull downs, and then we did the hammer strength press along with supersetted with straight arm pull downs, and then hit the chest fly machine supersetted with rear cable delts. So I always train the rear delts along with the back, and generally train back and chest together, just the antagonistic muscle groups. Train delts with the arms, with the side delts, and the front delts. Beyond, I usually don't do a lot of overhead pressing, just because of already doing a lot of pressing on the chest day and doing a lot of incline work. So strength is feeling good. Consistency and everything's going great. So that's all wonderful. Just trying not to beat myself up. I didn't do legs yesterday and was actually going to throw on some legs at the end. My wife did train legs actually afterwards, but weird. My left knee had been kind of jacked up and took it easy on that. And then I rehabbed that, and it's in a hell of a lot better place. Then my right knee started feeling funky today, and I don't know if it's because when I was sitting back for the incline dumbbells, I was bringing the dumbbells up on the knees, or sitting down with the dumbbells on my knees. So not only sitting, but then the weight of the dumbbell with heavy dumbbells driving down on the knee. I don't know if that was making my right knee a little funky or whatever. So I actually put my brace, or my little band, it's just a band, and I've been wearing it on my left knee, but I haven't worn it for weeks now. A couple weeks, at least, few weeks. And even started training legs again, and even used the squat machine the other day. But I put it on that, and after a little bit, I took it back off, and it seems like it's fine and okay, no problem or anything. But I didn't want to test my luck or whatnot. And so that was that. It's interesting too. I was thinking about it. Mike O'Hearn. I don't know if anybody follows that stuff, but he's claimed, for years now, he's always claimed that he's natural, and and the whole natty and not movement, I think, is the dumbest thing in the world, and I don't understand why people even care about that stuff. And I've already made a video about that. Ridiculous it is. But when you say that, even though it's like, don't care with sniff tests. I mean, this guy is phenomenal shape year round. He's huge. But one thing I'll say is, if a guy's been on gear for a long time, a really long time, it eventually becomes diminishing returns. I mean, you look at bodybuilders; they're never going to stay on top for year upon year, for decades like that. They're eventually going to lose size. And even then, bodybuilders that go through phases where they're, either carrying more body fat and then cutting down, or they're dropping size. I mean, if you saw stuff with Arnold back in the day, after competitions, he would go off cycle, he would be noticeably smaller. And then once he left bodybuilding and wanted to get into movies and stuff, he was tremendously smaller. And then he bulked back up for certain roles and stuff. But you look at any of them, Dorian Yates now, and he's much smaller. Jay Cutler, he's still good size, but definitely not to the size. Michael Hearn's the one person, he has been consistently, like, just year over year over year. He's never out of shape. He's always in phenomenal shape. He's always very lean and just so consistent. And he trains heavy and everything. So I'd say forget about whether he's natural or not. Say he's on gear, and he's been on gear. he's still genetically got to be like unreal just to be able to be consistent like that for years and years and years and years and getting improvement. I mean, I think he's in his 50s now, and he needs to be studied by science. Maybe he's one of the few people, like that 1%. I don't know. You can never rule anything out. It certainly doesn't. You've been around the gym enough, you kind of know. There's definitely some freaks out there. And look, I had friends, people I trained with that were natty, or definitely, natural, whatever. And I mean, they were jacked and lean, and they were a high level of athleticism and everything. So you don't, there were people thought they were on gear. And there's people on gear that you're like, what the fuck, man? You're on stuff. You don't look like stuff. Some people take a little bit and blow up and just like, Some people can take quite a bit, and you're like, man, you're taking all that just to get to that size. I mean, there's amateur bodybuilders. One guy I know, when he was stepping on stage, he was like 165, man. He was on a pharmacy of stuff, including growth hormone, all this other stuff. And I'm like, man, you got to do all that just to be 165. That just doesn't seem like it's worth it. Just genetic-wise, you just don't have it, and it seems like, why would you do all that to yourself? And I'm not somebody that says, people do whatever you want. I don't care. But I just think it's crazy to do like what he was doing just to be that or whatever. Anyways, I was just fascinated by that because they said this guy is just consistently. Anyways, he seems like a funny guy too. I mean, when you see his videos and stuff, he doesn't take things too serious. And of course, everyone wants, when he gets interviewed, always want to ask, the same stupid questions. Look, he ain't going to answer you. He ain't going to say, yeah, I'm on gear. You're not going to be the one to get him to say it. So what does it matter? That's the whole thing. Like I said, I hate that stuff. These people don't make, they're not doing stuff. They're just riding off of other people have what they have done. It's just, anyways, I don't know. Just annoying to me. Man. That face feels like it's kind of bloated. Doesn't feel like it. It looks like it. So, anyways, so with training, and I don't have much else interesting to say. Kind of a slow time period. Hopefully, I don't have any training tomorrow. I want to work on some hobby stuff and finish this game board because I'm doing this medieval war game, the Battle of Blore Heath from the War of the Roses. So if you like history, like wargaming, I've been painting medieval miniature figures, and I'm very slow, so I actually did some paper ones, which I did. There's some videos on my channel about it, just so I could get and do some actual battles, because it'll take me forever to paint. I think I've got 20 miniatures, and I got to paint like 200 or something that I painted so far, but I've got half the game board kind of done up, and I've got the other half. I made hedges and some trees, but I need to make some more trees, and got some river sections, and I got to do these 2 hills. So trying to get that done right now while I have some time and everything to do it, because like I said, I've talked about in another video, there might be some big changes coming down the road and everything. So stay tuned for that stuff. And that's about it. So, gonna drink some more beer tonight. I think we're having steak tacos tonight, I think so. We had salmon bowls yesterday, which is salmon and rice and some cucumber and some purple cabbage. Yeah, I think that's it. And some tofu and some other stuff. It was amazing. Asparagus, and it was absolutely amazing. I love salmon. Salmon is phenomenal. And then I think, I don't know. Oh, I know what I want to talk about. Last few minutes. This is a rant, so enjoy. I really don't get political on this channel because, quite frankly, I just I like geopolitics and stuff, but I don't, just gotten, just social media has taken all the fun out of a lot of stuff and everything. You can't even have a good debate anymore. But speaking of debate, I wanted to say this. So there's a debate, and Biden obviously did terrible. And I want to say that if that came as a surprise to you, you've either been willfully ignorant or haven't been paying attention to the news for the last few years. He gets lost trying to get off stage. He tries to shake hands with ghosts and invisible people that aren't there. He potentially crapped himself one day. And he's clearly not mentally fit for the role. And I know some people are already going to watch and say, well, Trump, whatever. Look, this isn't an endorsement of Trump. To be quite frank, I'm not probably even voting this time around because, honestly, I don't believe in the voting the lesser two evils. And I think we keep getting subpar candidates on both the major parties and, quite frankly, the third parties, too. I haven't been impressed with either. So, but there was a lot of stuff. People were commenting on Twitter or whatever they call it now and other stuff. And I'm like, you can't be surprised by that. And look, Trump's not even that much younger than Biden. But age is a number. Clearly, as far as mental awareness, they're on way two different wavelengths. It is painfully obvious he's not capable of making decisions, and he probably isn't. He's being led around by people. And if that doesn't frighten you, because you see all these articles about nuclear escalation and stuff like that, if it doesn't frighten you that this person is the President of the United States, an office shared with people like JFK, Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Franklin Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, people like that, share an office with people like that, and this guy is clearly going through some dementia or who knows what. I'm not going to diagnose him because I'm not a doctor and I'm not he's not my patient, but he is not mentally fit to do anything, quite frankly. I wouldn't even have him watch my cats, let alone run the United States or be president of the United States. I shouldn't say run the United States. We're, a republic with, three branches. And so, but it's, to me though, okay, take that out because it's been painfully obvious that's the case. The people that weren't aware, it's like, you guys, if this was a shock to you, you need to watch the news and get off of Twitter and actually watch the fucking news and pay attention to what's going on around you. Because it scares me that these people are going to fucking vote and they don't know a fucking thing going on. So, excuse me for my language, but it kind of annoys me that, not that is, or even that people vote for him, because I know there's going to be people that are going to vote for him no matter what, because they don't want Trump in office. But it annoys me that anybody would be shocked by that. Have you not watched anything going on? Listen to him talk. I mean, come on, man. I think as Americans, we should do better with the candidates we're putting up. But we're going to continue to put up people that are subpar. And we're going to continue to get subpar. So, it's a shame. But, hey, what's the worst going to happen? Nuclear war. So, anyways, enjoy. Have a great night.